Okay, so I've had a Chinese diesel heater in my van for about 6 years now. I belong to all the social media stuff, Facebook, Instagram, all that thing. And almost every day I see someone go on there and say, can I use kerosene in my Chinese diesel heater? Or can I use household heating oil in my Chinese diesel heater? And loads of people will say, yeah, been doing it for years, no issues. But there'll be always one or two people pop in and say, no, you can't because there's an issue with the pump, or it's called a diesel heater for a reason, and all that sort of stuff. And I can understand why then that would then put a little bit of doubt in your mind. So just in case it's of use, I'm going to try a slightly different approach. I'm going to go through the reasons why I think you can use kerosene and 28-second heating oil, for example, in your Chinese diesel heater. I'm going to look at the benefits of doing that compared to diesel, disadvantages of that compared to diesel, any issues or not issues with the pump, okay, and the efficiency, the burn efficiency of that. Okay, but each time I come up with something, in the lower third, I'm going to put the source of where you can go in and do more homework on that particular aspect just to get your own comfort. Because at the end of the day, I'm just some random guy on social media like everyone else. I could tell you I could walk on water, but unless I give a birth certificate with the name Jesus on, why would you believe me? Okay, so you can go and do your own homework here. Because I should say, like everyone else on the planet who's only installed one or two of these heaters, I'm no expert. Yeah, there's plenty of people on Facebook who think they are. I'm not that person. I'm not a chemical engineer. My primary degree was in mechanical engineering. I did do a bit of enthalpy calculations and friction mechanics, which has some relevance, but I'm no real expert. So I've done some research and I'm going to put it down here where you can get it. But long story short, I would say I've been using kerosene for years, along with a lot of other people, had no issues at all. But I do appreciate you might want to get a bit more substantial reasons why it's okay. Okay, so sciencedirect.com. Go in there and you'll get the chemistry, all the chemistry you need in there. And you'll see that diesel, kerosene, heating oil, they're all from the same family of saturated hydrocarbons known as alkanes, the lighter end of which they are known as paraffins. Although this is where some confusion gets in, because in the oil distribution sector, paraffin is actually referring to a lighter or a more refined grade of kerosene. All the same sort of stuff, just a bit more refined. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later when we talk about friction on pumps. All right, but there's the chemistry. It's all basically the same stuff. Okay, so some people come on and say, well, look, they're called diesel heaters for a reason, and that reason is you're supposed to put diesel in it, not some stuff like kerosene. Well, I would suggest no, and I'm going to give you evidence why. And that basically is they were not originally called diesel heaters. The Chinese diesel heaters are basically a copy of the Eberspacher D2 or D4, and they were derivatives or subsequent to the D1. And I've got a manual for the D1, and at no point in there does it refer to it as a diesel heater. It refers to it as an air heater. Okay? Now, when it talks about fuel, it specifically says, yes, it's talking about diesel because they're designed to go in trucks and everything, but it specifically says you can use kerosene. And in the D2 manual I've got, it also talks about other lighter fuel oils. Now, light fuel oil is another colloquialism. I think it's more used on the other side of the pond to refer to what the chemists over here call paraffins, which are the ones from diesel upwards in terms of their aromatic lightness. Okay, so it was never really designed to be just for diesel. Okay, so what about energy content? Because you'll get people to say kerosene's got more energy in it, it burns hotter, or diesel's got more energy in it. Well, actually, it's a draw. It's a draw. So I'm looking at Claverton here, and for kerosene, it's 35.24 megajoules per litre, and diesel is 35.94 megajoules per litre. Fraction more on diesel, but look, with all the inefficiencies in heaters, like most of it going out through your exhaust, a good chunk of it going out through your exhaust, you will not tell the difference. So it's a draw. It's a draw. So what about how clean it burns in these heaters? Well, this is where there does seem to be plenty of evidence that kerosene is a better choice. If you haven't got your heater optimally tuned, and some people say, don't play with the settings, just take it out of the box and use it. Well, some of us had to, because when mine came out of the box, I got nothing but white smoke. I went onto Facebook, got some settings, and it's been perfect ever since. I have now been playing with optimizing it without using a gas analyzer. In fact, there'll be a link at the end if you're interested in that sort of nerdy stuff as well. But if you haven't got it optimally tuned, I think probably kerosene or 28-second heating oil is probably better, because diesel's got loads and loads of additives in it designed specific for an internal combustion engine and not just to burn in a heater. And that may be, I don't know, but that may be what clogs these things up and gets them a bit sooty if they're not optimally tuned. Just to give you an indication, I'm just on Diesel Net here, and the additives they put in diesels these days are fuel handling and distribution additives, so low temperature additives to improve flow, anti-waxing additives, cloud point depressants, what the hell was that? De-icing additives, other fuel handling additives are anti-foam additives, drag reducing additive, static dissipator additives, biocides, demulsifiers, dehazers, corrosion inhibitors. It goes on and on and on. So I'm not surprised that all these things put to help with high-tech internal combustion engines, which aren't needed in a diesel heater, might give problems. Okay, might do. But anyway, I'll put the link down there. Have a look at all those additives that are in there. Okay, so talking about additives, you'll get people on here who will say, no, you can't use kerosene because it needs the additives that are in diesel to lubricate the pump. Well, I would suggest that is nonsense, and the reason I say that is really for two reasons. First of all, the vast number of people who've been using kerosene and heating oil without any issues. But secondly, I don't know if that pump would need any lubrication, just looking at it, because the design of it is it's a low friction dosing pump, and just liquid itself will be a lubricant. Ice skaters don't skate on ice, they skate on a few molecules of water. The pressure of the skate melts a few molecules of water, and that's what they're skating on. But in any case, even if it did need lubrication, for C2 grade kerosene, which is what you get at the pump, it has lubrication in it because there's a lot of sulfur in it, and sulfur is in fact a lubricant. The aluminium drawing industry uses sulfur as a lubricant, and other sort of metalwork machining. There's a link down there for if you want to look. Google's your friend. But there is lubricant in it if it needs it. I don't think it does, but there is lubricant in it. Now, we talked about paraffins. Colloquially, paraffins become to be known in the fuel distribution sector as very high grade kerosene, C1, which has a much reduced amount of sulfur in it. But would that cause problems? I don't think there's enough evidence to know. I don't think so. I reckon you could run these pumps on beer, all right? Because the design is such, I think just the liquid would be enough. But certainly, no doubt about it, C2 at the pump kerosene is fine. And of course, it's cheaper than diesel, but boy, does the price vary around the country. I was paying £1, I think it's £1.18 a litre for at the pump kerosene. Diesel at the time, I think it was about £1.38. But in the north of England, it was 80p a litre at the pump. You sometimes got to travel to find it. It's not that sort of common, but those price differentials, if you buy 25 litres at the time, it's worth doing. Okay. So that's that sort of bit sorted out. So what's the disadvantages of using heating oil and kerosene? Well, of course, there's one major one, and that is you do not have the convenience of having it plumbed into your tank. So you need a separate tank. But if you're happy with that, then I would say, on the basis of what I've talked about today, you'll be absolutely fine using kerosene or 28-second heating oil in your Chinese diesel heater, because it ain't really a diesel heater, it's a saturated hydrocarbon alkane heater. And I hope that's of use.